My name is Ian Lara, and I would put avocados in my immigrant jam, but not the cliche regular Mexican avocados that you get in guac. Dominican avocados, which are a lot bigger and girthier. That's what I would put.
Welcome back to another beautiful day at Immigrant Jam headquarters, located right above the South African consulate. That makes no sense out of context. But today we have an amazing guest. Amazing, incredible, so funny. I need like 5 teleprompters to read this man's credits. He has a special out called Growing Shame. He has a special out on HBO, a 15-minute special. He has one coming out on HBO in July. He's been on The Tonight Show. He's a regular at the Comedy Cellar and all over the country and in your dreams. Please welcome the one and only Mr. Ian Lara.
Hey, everybody. Thank you. That was a great introduction. I appreciate that.
Hello. Ian.
Yes.
You are the son of Dominican immigrants.
Yes.
And you grew up in New York City in Queens.
Yeah.
Is that the proper pronunciation of Queens?
Queens, yeah. Yeah, that's a very Queens way to say it. Yeah. I was born in Brooklyn. I was raised there for till I was 11, and then we moved to Queens, but we moved like right on the border of Brooklyn, so I'm like right there on the south side of Queens, Brooklyn. A lot of family in Brooklyn, Queens, so we go back and forth.
South Ozone Park, right?
Right, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What was that like? I'm guessing that you had a lot of immigrants around you, and you didn't feel weird as an immigrant. Queens being the most diverse place in the world, basically.
Yes, we had. I mean, my neighborhood at the time was very a lot of Indian and Guyanese and Trinidadians, but we were very diverse. So there was Dominicans too, and we would always go to Brooklyn because that's where the base of foundation of my family was. So we would always go to Brooklyn, where there was in Cypress Hills, East New York, Brooklyn, where it was Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. That was what it was. Yeah. So I was around a lot of different things. And then I went to high school in Queens, which was a lot of Italians. I went to Christ the King, which was a lot of Italians. So I was around everything. It was like a very New York style where you just run into everything.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And so was your first language Spanish then?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that was the first language.
Because you talk about it in your comedy a lot that your mother doesn't speak English now, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, she did. My mom passed away last
so
year.
sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, that was a joke that I had, that she didn't speak English, which was like the immigrant mom thing, where it's she did, but she just pretended that she did. It was just easier to not do it. She would just be like, hey, they called, you call them back and things. But I did see her many times, when she didn't know anybody was around, take phone calls and do things in English.
In a Kentucky drawl.
Yeah, and then you walk in and
she was
like,
what's up?
Yeah, she was like, I don't know what they were talking about. And I was like, I heard you speaking. Yeah.
Wow, that's so funny. My dad still doesn't speak English. We've been here for 30 years.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's hiding it. He just straight up does
just
not.
No concern, no care.
Well, and also he'll just say the words in German if he doesn't know them, and miraculously somehow everybody understands him.
Yeah.
He'd be like, hey, give me that tasse. And people are like, oh, I think so. It kind of makes me wonder how important languages anyway. You know what
Well,
I mean?
my mom, she was in Spanish, she was like a wordsmith in Spanish. The sayings that she would, the old school sayings that she would know, and how quick she was, you can't transfer that. She was best in Spanish. So people just kind of adjusted to her, because if you knew Spanish, you wanted to hear her in Spanish, because she was just so quick with her words and sayings.
I love that, because I feel that a lot of people that speak multiple languages are different people in different languages.
For sure.
Do you feel like that with Spanish yourself too?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I'm I think in English. So I went to school all in English. So my thought process in English. So I think I'm a lot quicker and funnier in English. I mean, in Spanish I can hang, but it's not the same as if you hear me in English.
So you never do comedy in Spanish?
No, I never have. No.
And not something that you ever want to try?
No, I mean, I've been asked a lot. A lot of people ask me that. A lot of people tell me to do that, and I'm like, hey man, I'm just still trying to figure this out in English. Give me some time. But no, I mean, I never really thought about it. I'm maybe I will. Maybe I will. But to sit down and write a set in Spanish, I feel like I would just do it in English. Like, why would I do it in Spanish?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I tried to translate. When I went on tour with a show in Germany, and I tried to translate it, and I translated like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing?
Right.
This is stupid. It's not funny anymore.
Right. And it's not just the language neither. Like, it's like, because there's like a comedy club in the Dominican Republic who they've asked me, and I'm going to go, but I'm going to do it in English. But comedy's not just a language. There's like nuances to like comedy and like what they find funny.
Right.
It's not necessarily what, English speaking like country who's been like, stand-up comedy's been around for over 50 years, and so we're just a lot more comedically evolved. They're catching up fast because of Netflix and because of like how world-renowned comedy has become, where like people are touring all over the world, but we're still 50 years ahead. So like a lot of the stuff that they might still find funny now, it was like that was funny in like the 70s in America. A lot of like they like a lot of physicalness, like you walk on stage, you trip, stuff. Which was like huge at the beginning of comedy. That was huge here too, which is, it makes sense why it would be huge there, but it's like we're not doing that anymore for the most part. So
you could adapt your act to trip and
I'm not gonna
fart and stuff.
I'm not gonna. I could, but I just have no interest in doing that.
But you talk a lot about like your immigrant upbringing, and also you talk a lot in your comedy about like not looking like what people would expect you to look like with your background or speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
Is that something that like was a problem for you for a while, or were you always, did you always, because now when you talk about it in your stand-up, at least you say you're a unicorn and stuff like that. Like,
it's funny when people say, like, it's funny that people like you, like, people think that I talk about it a lot, but it's really just one joke. It's just a joke that, like, that joke happened to go viral for me. So, like, people think that that's, like, what my act is mostly about. But it's not. My act is mostly, like, day-to-day stuff and dating. It's not really about, like, race and stuff. But that joke, I did write it because I was going on the road, and it was just, it was so funny to me to see people's reactions when I told them that I, like, spoke Spanish and that I was Hispanic. They were just, like, they just thought I was like African American, which sometimes gets like mixed up with black. Like people say, "Oh, we thought you were black," but they meant African American because I am black. Like I'm obviously a black person, but I'm not African American. So that's why I wrote that joke. I thought it was just like a funny thing. And when and Comedy Central gave me the opportunity, I was like, oh, I mean, this is gonna be my first introduction to like people who have never ever seen me, and this is like a video that'll live on the internet. So let me just talk about this, like kind of address this. So I thought I did it like in what I thought was like a funny way.
So you're saying that was never a problem for you growing up?
Like, I mean, it wasn't. It was a thing. It wasn't a problem. I mean, it was a thing. It wasn't a problem. Like I don't take it personal. What like some white person who's not culturally educated about about.
I guess that comes with growing up in New York too, though.
Right.
You can be more relaxed about stuff like that because there's so many different people. If there's the one person that's culturally not educated, you're like, all right.
I mean, in New York, it didn't happen as much because New York, everything. Like you know a Dominican, you know a Dominican that looks like me, or a Cuban that looks like me, or Colombian that looks like me. So you know that there's like a thing. Like,
so did you? That's so interesting because do you remember like an experience where your first like culture shock where you like went outside of New York and experienced a world that isn't like that? Because I definitely had that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I first started going on the road, I was doing these colleges in like the middle of the country. It was like a lot of like Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, like, and I remember like going over there and being like, it is really white over here, like, and it's not like, it's just what it is. Like it's not like people, it's not like they choose like, hey, we're just gonna be white here. It's just like minorities don't really.
Are you sure they don't choose that?
Well, I'm sure some would like to keep it that way, but for the most part, it's just like they were cool. Like it's not like they were like being like super overly like racist or anything. To me, they were cool people, but they were just like, we just don't have you guys here. Like if you guys want to come, I mean, we'll open to it. But so I did have that shock. Now I'm used to it. Like I was just in Kansas last weekend and Vancouver the week before. So now like this is just what I do. Like I just go to all these like middle of the road, middle of America cities and states, and I'm used to it. But at first it was definitely like a thing where I'm like, yeah, this is white. there's nothing like New York, you know.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. And it's not like New York. I think the New York white is different. It's like, you know, this is Russian, German, like a lot, some European, but this is like white American, like.
I had that culture shock because I grew up here. I grew up here too, and then I moved to Europe for a while after high school. And what was shocking for me was people who were like, "I'm German," and that was it. Like they didn't have anything else mixed in, you know, and like they had never lived anywhere else. And I was like, wow, these people are just one thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't used to that at all. And it was like a real culture shock because I was like, oh, my dad's German, my mom's Romanian, you know, this and that.
Yeah.
And people were like confused by that.
Right.
That was like a real culture shock. You take that for granted a little bit growing up in New York, I feel like.
I mean, when Ancestry DNA kind of got popular, that was like the first time, because when I did my Ancestry DNA, and it was like the most I was of one thing was probably like 26%, which is like a quarter of it. Like that's the most of one thing I was. And then I met people who were like, they're like, I'm 99% German, and you're like, what?
You're like
no one in your family has like no one in your family has like like that was fascinating to me. I thought like I mean, I never really thought about it, but you just figure that like people are like a whole bunch of things. But it's like some people are like, no, this has been my family for 200 years.
Mustache and the side part, and you were like, wait a minute, I've seen you before. No, that's so funny. So do you like consider yourself an immigrant? I mean, you're not an immigrant, you're first generation, but do you identify with that, or do you? Because I have heard you talk about like that. You're American. You love being American.
Yeah,
and,
I am American. I am American. Yeah, I'm not an immigrant. I was born and raised in New York City. As were like all of my brothers and sisters. We're all like, yeah, like this is definitely like the country that we identify with. But our parents were immigrants, and even our parents who are immigrant. I mean, even like my dad now, and my mom definitely. My mom definitely identified as an American. Like she moved here when she was 19, I believe, like,
oh, wow.
and lived here for 50 years. So she definitely like, she had, even though she loved the Dominican Republic, we used to visit a lot. We used to go over there. We had some family members over there. She had no interest in moving back. Like her identity was American. She was like, but she voted in the American election. This is what she was. So I definitely do consider myself an American, but it's, I don't try to like, you can't deny your immigrant roots. Like I'm super, like I love the Dominican Republic. I love visiting over there. I love like, they definitely embraced me, and I've always loved them even from before they embraced me. So it's something that I keep with me. But it would be weird to say I'm not American. It's just like the only thing I know and the only place I've ever lived. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about some people, I think, grow up like cross-culturally, and then they almost identify more with the thing that they didn't really grow up with. I feel like, you know, for a lot of Asians, I think that's a big thing because they're...
I mean, I do that too.
Like,
I identify, like, traditionally, I identify with like Dominican cultures. Like, even in some, like how we celebrate the holidays. Like, we celebrate the holidays like Dominicans do. Like, we don't, for us, like Christmas Day, December 25th is not like the huge day. For us, we celebrate Christmas Eve, like December 24th. That's when we get together and eat and spend time with the family. The 25th, that's just like the day you recruit.
That's
for us.
Americans. Yeah, that's same for Germans.
Right. That's
the
just how we
Germans
recruit.
celebrate like the Dominicans also, just with no fun.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Yeah.
Zero fun. Just like Dominicans, just a little different.
Right.
But yeah, no, I hear you. It's the little things like that, right? Like traditions and stuff like that. Food, avocados.
Right.
Apparently,
but I don't
the Dominican Republic has the best avocados. Sorry, Mexico.
Yeah.
You don't
this
think?
is controversial. This
Yeah,
is
it is controversial. You're going to get canceled over that avocado thing.
Right.
That's it.
I apologize. I like Mexican avocados. They're great avocados.
Hates them.
But yeah, like I don't give, as an American who I was born and raised, I don't give, like, just because you celebrate December 25th, you're not more American than me. Like, there's no, I don't care if your family was here for 200 years. It doesn't matter to me. I was born and raised here, and everything I do, I identify with this country. So, like, it's not like a big thing to me. And also, I feel like that's the beauty about America. Like, you can be both. Like, you can have that duality. It's no, like, you don't have to be one thing. I know some people would like you to believe that you have to be like, I'm American, but that's just their point of view. It's not mine.
Yeah, for sure. That's
subscribe
their
to it.
problem.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Their closed-mindedness is their problem. No, I agree. I think that the whole concept of like anti-immigrant is so artificial in this country. It's like something that these people make up.
Right.
And it's not a thing here like it is in other places like Europe and stuff where it's more like that, where like the immigration laws just on by themselves, make it more anti-immigrant. Like the fact that if you're born here, you're American. That's not the case in every country, Like in Germany, you have to have a parent. So there's a lot of immigrant kids who are born there and they're not German. And that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we have those problems with some kids now too, right? With the dreamers.
No, but the dreamers are kids that came over illegally.
Yeah.
That's what dreamers are.
Yeah,
so,
I get that, but I know some. I've know some who were born here.
Right, to parents who are illegal.
Yeah, who parents are illegal, and like
I thought those kids are automatically American too. But
they
I think
are,
like
but if you're 5 years old and your parents are getting deported and they came here illegally, then now you're going back to where your parents came from. Right?
Or even worse, you get deported when you're like 15 to a country you've never been to and you don't speak the language. That's wild. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is a wild aspect of it. But yeah, I think, it would be like for me not to be like grateful for the opportunities that I've been given, like just for being born in this country. Like even like I speak to the stand-up comedians who are in Dominican Republic. I mean, their goal is to move here. Like they're like they're trying to figure out how can I just come to this country. Even like when I go to Canada, I tour Canada a lot, and all those guys, they're like, man, I just want to come to this country. So it would be like for me to not be like, oh, I'm very grateful for being born in this country where I can like have this career. It's like,
it's like the greatest trick America ever pulled was to make everybody want to come here, right? It's still like that.
Right. No,
despite
it's
everything,
still like that.
It's still like that. Oh,
like
100%.
Like you like I go to Canada and you watch the comedians and they'll just like their whole act to be making fun of like the American political system or whatever, which is like, all right, it's fine. I get it. But I remember the first time I saw it, I was watching comedians, they were just going off on the American and I was like, I have no idea anything about your political system. Like I've never heard an American comic even reference you guys, but which makes me feel like, all right, this is America.
But it's funny though, because even if there's like, especially New York, there's like a blizzard in New York and the whole world knows about it.
Yeah.
You don't fucking know if there's a blizzard in London.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I don't even know if it snows in London. I don't know what
where
the weather
London is.
Yeah, I don't know what the weather is. Which is like, listen, I understand how that comes off arrogant and that comes off, but when you're born into it, this is what you know. This is how you grow up. I understand that if I would have grown up in Canada, I would have done the same thing that they're doing. Like if I would have been born in like, let's say Vancouver and I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, I would have been doing the same thing they're doing, but I wasn't. I was born in New York City, so I see it very differently than they do. If they would have been born here, they would see it like me,
Probably,
That's
So when you started doing comedy or when you started dreaming of doing comedy, what was that like? How did you start? Because I'm guessing that your parents weren't comedians.
No, not professionally. No. Yeah, I went to like I remember my girlfriend at the time, she took me to see Chris Rock at the Apollo. He filmed Kill the Messenger. That's when I was 18. And then when I was like 20, my then girlfriend, there was another girl, she took me to see Kevin Hart at the Beacon Theater. So those were like the first two stand-up shows that I really got to see. And then I remember being in college and they put on like a comedy competition in college my junior year, and I went to that and I saw like some of my student friends like who like just decided to sign up. I didn't even know about the competition, but they signed up and it was good. Like it was good. They had Chris DiStefano. He closed it and he absolutely murdered. Like I got to see it. Like one thing is to see like Chris Rock and Kevin Hart. That's like a big thing. That's like a show. But this was like just a regular guy in a small little theater, and he was just he was just annihilating. Like people were laughing so hard, and that's when I was like, oh, I think I want to do it, and I waited. I did like a couple open mics like between junior and senior year. When I came back home from school, I did like a couple open mics. I did like maybe 10, 15 open mics, and I was like, oh, when I graduate, I really want to dive into it. Then we went back to school, and I didn't do any stand-up for the whole year, and that competition came around again in the fall, and I signed up for the competition. And I was already known, like I was kind of known as like a funny guy on campus, so everybody was kind of like, we want to go see this. Like, we want to see what you're going to do. We want to see. And everybody had already known that I had the inclination to do stand-up.
Right.
So they was like, we want to go see this. So I remember we did the show, the competition, and I didn't win, which was crazy because all the money was on me.
He's like, that was crazy because I'm really fucking funny.
Nah, all the money was on me. It was real. It was weird. It was real weird because I didn't win. Like, everybody was like throwing at me, but I did have like a great set. Like, I had like the best set that I could have had at that time.
What were you writing jokes about back then?
I forgot. I had a couple jokes about the campus. Like, I had a couple jokes about the campus police. I had a couple jokes about this was like 2012 or it was 2012. I had a couple jokes about like, and this was like before the TikToks. I had a couple jokes about new dances that were made up, like how difficult like the new dances were to do. Like, I was like back in the day, you used to like do like a regular like the bankhead bounce, and now this was in 12, way before they got complicated how they are now. But I was like, now the dances are so complicated that and it killed. Like, I remember after that, I was kind of like a little celebrity on campus. Like, I was already like fairly popular, but after that, like, people I didn't know like knew who I was and was like, hey. And a lot of the students were like, dude, you're gonna be like a stand-up comedian. Like, forget about this. You're gonna be like a stand-up comic. Like, for sure, you're gonna be a stand-up comic.
What were you studying?
I was pre-law. I got a degree
shit.
in economics. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you
political
were gonna
science
be
and economics. Yeah.
But you were gonna be a lawyer?
Yeah, I was gonna go to law school. That was like
What
what I
is it
thought.
about that so many comedians
Yeah,
used
it's a
to
lot.
be lawyers?
It's a lot.
More than any other thing.
Right, it is a lot. I
What
learned
is
that.
that?
I didn't know that before. I learned
So
that like
weird.
after I got into comedy. Like, it's a lot of
ex-lawyers or
yeah.
almost lawyers.
Yeah.
What is that? That is
Yeah.
so weird. Where was that? Where'd you go to school?
I went to SUNY Westbury in Long
Okay.
Island as a state university school.
And then, when was the first time your parents saw you do comedy?
The first and only time my mom and dad got to see me do comedy was when I did the Tonight Show, and that was in 2019. That was almost 7-8 years after I was doing it.
How was that?
That was great. I mean, I had many opportunities to bring my mom and dad to like, or invite them to a show, and they would have came out. But, you know, for immigrant families, like, you don't want to bring them to like some you know, shitty show or, you know, thing, because they already don't think that what you're doing is like, you know, thing. So I wanted to make sure that when I invited them, it was going to be something big, like maybe a special recording.
Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps. That's
or the Tonight Show.
amazing that you were able to do that. That's
Yeah,
great.
it was.
So they must have been insanely proud.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great. I was glad, and I was very happy that my mom got to see it before she passed away. So she got to see what I was doing. So they were all very they were both like very, very proud of me.
But in the beginning, they weren't supportive of it,
They
they didn't get it really.
They were not necessarily supportive, but they weren't unsupportive. They didn't get it. Like, they were just like, all right, like, whatever, like, this is what you're doing, like, all right. But like, I got like, that's the thing, like, you kind of, they got to see like in increments, like the growth a little bit. So they got, so it wasn't like I was like just on one level like for forever. Like, you know, it was like at first couple years, it was like, all right, he's just doing open mics, and that's kind of like, they really didn't ask questions about that. But then it's like, okay, well, it seems like he's working more. Like, are you going, like, it seems like you're going out every night that you're doing it. And then it's like, I start going on the road. They're like, all right, now you're going on the road to performing. And even then, they're like, still, like, they're not too sure, like, what is this a hobby? Then I had like a couple family members come see me, and then like throughout the family, they would tell them like, oh, Ian's funny, like, you gotta see. And they're like, oh, really? And then like come the TV credits, and that's kind of when they're like, all right, I guess this is like a thing. But with immigrant parents, you never really know, because like even with all the things that I've done, like all the credits that I have, all the things that I've done, I still feel like I have conversations with my dad where he's like, so when are you gonna go back to school? And I'm like, back to school? I'm taping my HBO special in July. He's like, why don't you pick up a trade or something? So I don't think immigrant families ever really give you that, like, no matter what, because they're always worried that there's going to be like a depression that comes in. You're going to like, you're going to need to have that trade. Like, he was like, you ever thought about pipe fitting? I'm like, pipe fitting? Like, I was on Jimmy Fallon. Like, you came to Jimmy Fallon. You saw me do that.
I love that. Hey,
Yeah.
you might not be wrong, you know?
Right.
Might be good for the comedy too.
Right. I know.
That's great. So, but do you think that, you know, the immigrant background and the fact that your parents came here, I'm I'm gonna guess that they came here with not a lot, right? Like, and they made everything they had for themselves. Like, they weren't given any handouts or anything like that.
No, yeah, my mom came when my mom got here. She was brought here by her sister, who they came here to work. It wasn't like she worked in like factories and stuff, like, and then that's how she came up. And my mom was married. She got married young, as you do, like in a poor country. Like when you as a woman, you gotta find like especially if you're from a poor family, you gotta find like an older husband who like has even a little bit of money so you can get out. And my mom was the youngest daughter of 11, not 11 daughters, 11 kids. So that,
Damn,
you
11 daughters, that'd be crazy.
It's 5 daughters and 6 guys, and you gotta,
kids.
Yeah, so in a household like that, and you're poor, it's like you gotta get out right away. So my mom got married. She was married. I used to have to joke. I was like, my mom's succeeded at marriage twice. She was married once for like over 20 years, and then to my dad for like 34 until she passed. So it's like, she figured it out.
That's wild.
Yeah,
20 years the first marriage.
Yeah, and then 33 the second one. So she came and she was married, and then she got divorced, and then she went back to the Dominican Republic like for the holidays or whatever, and that's when she met my father, who lived right around the block from where she grew up. Like, he grew up right around the block from where she grew up, but she was older than him. My mom was 9 years older than my dad, so they weren't in the same class. So like my mom's younger siblings knew my dad and his family better than her, because when my dad and them were growing up, my mom was already here because she came here at 20. Right. She was so when my mom was 20, my dad was 9, or my dad was 10 or 11 in the Dominican Republic. So she didn't know him that well. But when she came back, like, they threw a party and they got to know each other, and then they got married, and she brought him here. Wow. And he came here the same way. Like, he came here from the bottom too. He didn't know English. He was a professor in the Dominican Republic, and he didn't know English or anything really. He had a radio show in DR. He was pretty well established in the Dominican Republic, and he came in and started from the bottom and kind of built it all back up. He became a teacher here. He taught. He's been teaching for like 25 years. He had his own radio show at one point in Connecticut, and he's learned English. He's a teacher in English.
So that, I think that does, like, you hear so many stories like that from people with immigrant backgrounds. Their parents, like, they had to forge their own path, and somehow that, like, gets passed on in a weird way, I think, to the kid.
For sure.
What I'm saying?
For sure. I mean, it gives you perspective 100%, like 100% for like, and this is no knock to them, but like for like, a white born American kid who was born here, and they just grew in, like, they just seen their parents just always be successful, because it comes down, it helps that, if your parents are successful, you'll probably be successful.
It's generational.
Right. It's a generational thing. For them, like, they don't have the same perspective as I did. And I used my perspective when it came to stand up. I was like, if my dad could move here at 27, not speak a word of English, learn the language, become a teacher in English, accomplish everything he had in the Dominican Republic, he accomplished here. He got like 2 masters in English. I was like, yeah, I could go to open mics a couple nights and hustle and like so like I feel like as an immigrant too, as a child of immigrants, you can't have like the whole starving artist concept. Like, that's a pretty American or like concept. Like,
romantic.
There's no starving artist. Like, my dad and my mom, they were like, if you want to do comedy, you can do comedy, but you're gonna work. You have to make a living. So I never was like a starving artist bouncing around with no money. Like, I used to work at the airport when I graduated from college. I first started stand-up comedy. I used to do 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the airport, and then at night I would come and do open mics.
What, TSA?
No, I worked for Delta Airlines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like checking people in and stuff like that?
No, I worked on the ramp on the bottom with people's luggage,
Oh, shit. So, like, real physical stuff, too.
Yeah, full, 12-hour days. Yeah, I used to do that. About 3-4 times a week.
Okay, so I don't know if you feel the same way when people ask a lot, like, isn't comedy so hard? It seems so hard, but I waited tables for like 8 years, busted my ass, and I'm always like, hard?
Yeah.
Like, busting your ass doing something you don't like is hard.
Right.
But doing something you love can
Yeah.
never be hard in that way.
Right. No, yeah, it's all perspective. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's not hard. I mean, it's not hard when I step back and really think about it. But, you know, as comedians, like our job is to complain. That's what we do. So it's like, no, so it's like you can't allow yourself not to complain. That's where the funniness like really
For
lies.
sure,
Most
yeah.
if you really break down most bits, you're complaining in the bit. Like there's an aspect of complaining in the
Yeah.
bit. That's what makes it funny. So I do complain a lot, but in reality, I'm like, no, this isn't hard. This is amazing. I do
Right.
I do what I want every day. I get up, I do what I want every day. And sometimes I'm on the road. Like I've been on the road crazy since the beginning of the year. Just like almost every weekend, just grinding. And sometimes some of my friends, they'll message me. They'll be like, man, you're just always on the go. Like this is crazy. You need to rest. And I was like, I need to rest. You wake up at 6 a.m. every day and go work in the office till 5 p.m. You do that 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, you're dealing with your family. You have a family. You need to rest. Like I'm doing good. Like I'm chilling. Like yeah, I gotta fly there, but when I fly there, I'm working 1 hour. That you know,
Right.
my job is 1 hour on Friday night to
You
maybe
hear
2
that?
hours.
Don't fucking message Ian fucking advice on how to get some fucking R&R. Shut the fuck up. That's also such a New Yorker thing to do.
Yeah, well, I
Hey,
get
I'm
it. They're
worried
looking
about you.
out.
You need to rest.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. You need to rest. Don't tell me I need to rest.
I get that they're looking out, but I'm like, yo, I'm good. But I mean, I am human though. I've been like very tired, especially like since the special came out, because I've been on the road.
Yeah.
I'm working, trying to get the new 30 minutes ready for the HBO thing, and then I'm doing all this promo stuff, so I haven't had like a day off in like a month, and it's like every day I'm just doing a bunch of things. So I am tired, but I'm so grateful. This is what, like, when I set out, like when I was like, oh, I'm not gonna go to law school, I'm gonna try to figure this comedy stuff out. This is what I was trying to figure out. So I got, you know, when I'm tired, I gotta remind myself, like, but this is what you wanted, and it's just pretty awesome.
And also, I think that's always a little bit of the motor, right? That keeps you going, like looking back and being like, I'm not going back to that. So I better keep going, you know, and not
Right.
rest.
Right. Well,
and the New York mentality makes that easier too. The hustle.
Yeah.
You just like
Yeah.
grow up hustling here.
Right. Well, I'm 31 now, which is not 31 is not like old, but I still dedicated my whole 20s to this art thing. So it's like there's no going back. Like this is like, what am I gonna
Yeah.
do now? Become a pipe fitter? Like I can't. I can't do
I don't
that.
even know what that means.
It's like
What do they
plumbers. Like
do?
it's like plumbers. It's like
it-
the
is
union. It's like the plumbing union.
Do they make better money than plumbers?
No.
It sounds fancier than plumbers.
It's like plumbers. I think plumbers and pipe fitters. I think that it's in the same. They're in the same field. Like it's the same
Okay.
thing.
Is it like
they do
it's
like,
like
the
a
piping?
prop comedian and a comedian, like the plumber and the pipe?
No, they make a
Pipe
great living. Like honestly,
Yeah.
that's why my dad was
No,
like,
plumbers make a ton
they
of
make
money.
these are like 150K a year jobs. Like
Yeah.
they make a great living. That's
Yeah.
why like I would be a pipe fitter. Like if I wasn't comedy, it does make sense if you don't want to go to school. Like, but it's not like an easy job to get. Like you need to like get blessed in kind of.
You
Like
need to fucking learn how to fit pipes.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that like I've
Yeah.
already I've put in this grind. I feel like I've put in so much that like I can't like slack off now. I just kind of keep going. It's the immigrant thing. It's like you can't look
Exactly.
back. Like whatever.
you can't look back.
Like even after like I did the Tonight Show. I filmed my Comedy Central. Like you done taping, and you're like, all right, that's it. That's done. What's next? Like
Yeah.
you don't even get a chance to really like be like, oh, I did that. Which I remind myself now, especially after the pandemic, to like, you know, rejoice in your accomplishments. But like immigrant, you're like, what's next? This is done already. This check is already cleared.
Was that hard, the pandemic, not being able to perform and stuff?
I don't.
for
It
you?
wasn't. It wasn't too hard. No, because at the time,
You're like, because I learned pipe fitting.
yeah, right. At the time, I hadn't done. I hadn't went in 10 years almost. I hadn't went more than 5 days without doing stand-up comedy.
Wow.
My entire 20s, basically. So when the pandemic hit, the fact that I could take a break and I knew that everyone else was taking a break, that nobody was getting the upper hand on me, that felt nice for a little while, where like I literally was just like, this is fine. Like I get to relax and you know, and no one else is out grinding me. But you know, after a couple weeks, after a month or two, you get that itch. You're like, all right, I want to go back. And starting over, I mean, it felt like I thought that I would have to like start over because I had like forgot the act. I remember the first time I went back on the road, I had to like listen to my like tapings from before so I could remember my act. I didn't remember my jokes. I had to watch a lot of tape. But you know, once you get going, it's kind of like riding a bike. You kind of it takes a while. You got to get back in shape, like comedy shape, but you get back to it. It's not like you're starting from zero.
Right.
And there was a couple like I saw like comedians that were like, I mean, I'm sure everybody saw this during the pandemic. Like, you would be like, first of all, this was like the worst time in our life, like for just as a whole planet. Like, this was something that everyone was experiencing. Something hasn't been this big probably since World War II, where like people were experiencing, and even that World War II, there was some countries that were like, yeah, I guess there's a war going on, but that doesn't really affect my day-to-day life, you know. This affected everybody's day-to-day life in the whole planet. And you would look on the Instagram and you saw some comedians that like they tried to make it seem like they were still super grinding, like they were like super hustling, like I'm doing this Zoom show and I'm doing this, and then I'm like, damn, are these people like, are we gonna come back and these people are gonna be like super ahead of me? And then you do the thing and then we come back and it's like, oh, the people that were funny before, they're still funny, and the people who weren't, they're still not. So
that's so true. I was definitely one of those people. I did a Zoom show and I went so nuts. Like, I treated it like I had my own late night talk show. And then after like almost a year, I was like, what am I doing? What the fuck? Why am I not just chilling for a minute? This is insane. I'm like, I was like writing bits and I had shit all over my apartment. Like, I went nuts. Lights, I bought all this shit. My place looked like Pee-wee's Playhouse. You know what I'm saying?
I was doing them too. Like, I got pulled in. Like, I was like, I'm a relax, but then I see that and then I got pulled in. Yeah, I was like, I guess I gotta build a studio in my apartment now.
I know, so ridiculous. Ridiculous. And now looking back, everybody's like, damn it, why didn't I just take the whole entire time?
Right, that's one thing I learned,
and like read and maybe even like drive somewhere, you know?
You could take a break. That's like a thing that like...
That was the only... We'll never have that again.
Yeah,
like,
hopefully.
Everything was on pause.
Hopefully we won't.
No, hopefully we won't.
That's the one thing that I learned is like, you could take a break. Like, it's like we took, you know, off like being like a real stand-up comedian where I was on stage like a lot. I took probably like a year off till New York. I mean, I was going on the road here and then, and I would do like a weekend at a club in one of the states that didn't believe in COVID. But other than that, like, I wasn't like a day-to-day comedian like until April 1st, until New York City opened. And even that, like, we opened April 1st and I taped my Comedy Central half hour July 30th. It was like 3 months after. So it was kind of like, oh, you can take a break. Things will just pick up. If you dedicate the same thing you were dedicating before to it, like, things just open back up for you.
Yep, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love sayings and like expressions. From different countries, languages, because I always think it like says something about the mentality of the people. I don't know if you have one that you grew up with or just that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I found a few that I thought were funny that apparently are from the Dominican Republic. Right. So I want to know if you know these.
All right.
So,
all right. Cause should I take my favorite first, or you want to run down the list first?
Go ahead. Tell me your favorite.
My favorite Dominican sayings, I have two. Is like, there's a popular one. It's que lo que. You probably got que lo que on that list, do you?
No.
Que lo que is like a greeting. It's like a very like a what's up greeting. Like, what's going on?
Like sac passe for the Haitians.
Yeah, kind of. And then there's dime a ver, which is like, you be like, dime a ver, which is like a what's good, like what's up, like what's going on. Like, you see somebody, you're like, dime a ver. It's like, oh, what's new? You know.
What does it literally mean if you translate it?
Dime a ver is like,
tell me open or something?
Tell me, like, let's see, like, it's like, it doesn't translate to English because it's like, tell me what's new, kind of. It's like, tell me, let's see.
Okay,
which is like, tell me what's new, let's see, like, what's up, kind of. So it doesn't have a translation, but it would kind of be like, what's good? Like, what's good is an English term. In Spanish, it's like, que bueno, but that doesn't translate.
Right.
But it would be like, dime a ver, like, what's up, what's new, kind of thing. I like that saying because it's basically how I greet every single Dominican that I meet.
Even if you don't know them.
Yeah, even if you don't know them. You're like, I mean, but that's the thing, like, in Dominicans, like, the culture's like, there's no, I don't know you, like, thing. Like, it's like, even me, like, I meet, like, some people come up to me like they know me. Like, people come up to me, like, who are, like, fans of, like, the stuff that I do. And it's like, they'll treat me like I'm their brother. Like, I'm their cousin. Like, they're like, rubbing my shoulder. They give me a massage. And they're, like, asking me about my parents. I'm like, I never met you.
That's so funny. That's going to be wild when you do comedy over there.
Yeah.
When is that happening?
I don't know. They've been asking me to do it for a long time. I'm gonna do it at some point this year. I had hooked them up. There's a comedy club over there. Ari Shafir is just a friend of mine. He was out there, and I hooked him up. I told him like, hey, I'll connect you with the guys, and he did a show out there, and he told me the show was great. So I'm probably gonna do it at some point.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so let me see if you know these. How about this one? Eso lo sabe hasta la madre de los tomates.
Yeah, that's the saying. That's old. That's very old. That's a very old fashioned saying. I've heard like my aunts say stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And apparently, so if you literally translate it, it means everyone knows, even the mother of tomatoes.
Yeah.
But it means like, it's like everybody knows.
That's common
this.
knowledge.
Common
basically.
knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. That's
I love
common
that
knowledge.
though. The
yeah.
mother of tomatoes.
Makes no sense.
It's super poetic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. They speak like a lot of Dominicans. They speak like in parables. Like,
Right, exactly.
Like it's not like straight up sayings.
Okay, now this one I really like. I'm probably gonna butcher it. Gallina vieja da buen caldo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Old hens make a good broth, which means old ladies
Yeah.
are sexy.
I've heard that one. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You have heard that one?
Yeah, I heard that one. Yeah.
How do you say it right? Gallina vieja da buen caldo?
Yeah,
Am I saying it right?
yeah. Gallina vieja da buen caldo. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's like what you would say, you know, if you did dating a cougar and somebody's making fun of you for dating a cougar, that's a line you could hit them with.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. You heard it here first, people. Okay, and now, Ian, it's time for the Pohl questionnaire.
Okay.
Quick questions, whatever comes to mind, first thing that comes to mind,
Got
okay?
it.
In a movie about the Statue of Liberty, who would you cast as the Statue of Liberty?
To play the Statue of Liberty?
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Lopez.
I love that. Oh my God, I'm so happy you didn't say Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, no.
When you said Jennifer, I was like, he's going to say Jennifer Lopez. I love it. Perfect. If you could add one face to Mount Rushmore, who would you add?
Mark Anthony.
What? Are you just gonna? It's all Jennifer Lopez related.
No, I love Mark Anthony. I think Mark Anthony. I have like a list of like top
The next
10.
answer is like A-Rod.
Yeah, he did the Tonight Show. When I was on the Tonight Show, he was the
Mark
other guest.
Anthony
No,
did?
A-Rod.
Oh,
He was the
really?
other guest. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
I have like a list of like top 10 like human beings that like I just have like I just really look at them as like. And he's up there. Mark
Wow.
Anthony's on that list.
Damn, that's a separate podcast where I need to know why.
Yeah.
But I love him too. But
Yeah, it's just certain people that I'm just like, I admire their style and their grace and everything.
you know who that is for me? John Leguizamo.
Yeah,
I fucking love John
I can see that.
Leguizamo.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
the best. All right.
yeah.
What's the most American thing you've ever done?
American thing. I stormed the Capitol on. I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't know. What's the most American thing? I feel like the thing is like when you're here, you're not American. You're just yourself, right? Like we're all just them. But like I notice how American I am when I'm like overseas.
Outside of
yeah,
America,
when I'm like overseas
sure.
and I'm like you just and people say that about like I feel like other states say that about New York, but as a whole country we have that arrogance of being American where like I remember I went to like Istanbul, which is like a beautiful city. I mean, Istanbul's like
amazing.
so beautiful, and I had such a good time there. But there was still like a lot of American stuff about me where I'm just like, what are you guys doing here? Like, what is this? What is
Why
this?
is it so weird here?
Yeah, like why are you just doing this? There's no like, you guys don't have service here?
Or my favorite thing that Americans do abroad is, does anybody here speak English?
Right. Oh, and like the European adapter, like you don't have the European
the plugs
adapter.
are different.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you guys doing? What, you got different adapters? Get American adapters. But I gotta get a different adapter for you.
What's the most Dominican thing you've ever done?
Dominican thing.
Giving a stranger a massage?
yeah. Dominican thing. I love the and I like that familiarity of Dominicans that we have because even though like obviously we're not all related, but like they're so similar. Like everybody, like when I said the joke about like my mom not speaking English, so many Dominicans was like, that's my mom, that's my grandma. Like we all have like, I feel like there's types, and it's like we have that. Oh, I have that uncle, or I have that aunt. Like like I have a joke in my new special about like an aunt. Like I have an aunt who gets possessed. Like and that's like a
great.
thing. Like she just catches the Holy Spirit or whatever. But like so many people hit me up like, yeah, I got that aunt. Like I know that aunt. I feel like the most like Dominican thing is probably like that, like the familiarity that we have like with each other, where it's like, and you have that. Everybody has that too. There's like, we have that as Dominicans, but then we also have that as Latinos, as like Hispanics, like and then we also have that as New Yorkers, and then we also have that as Americans, and it's
as
like
immigrants.
as immigrants. Like it just keeps like going. Like you have that familiarity.
It's true. There you go. See, we have so much in common.
Yeah, the most Dominican thing I ever did though, one time I brought an avocado on an airplane. I swear, I had it in my carry-on luggage. I was coming back from the Dominican Republic, which you're not allowed to bring produce, and I forgot that I didn't put it in my check bag, so I just ate it on the flight. Like I just cut it on the flight, and nobody thought it was weird. Like everybody was like, "Oh yeah, this is avocado. You should give me a slice of that." I literally gave a person a slice because I was sitting in the front. They gave food, and I was ate it with the thing, and the person was like, "Give me a slice," and I was like, "All right, I'll give you a slice."
A Dominican person?
Yeah. We come back from DR. Yeah, he just gave me a slice. Yeah.
Then in the back, someone's like, "Hey, someone up there has an avocado. Yo, let me get a piece."
Yeah.
What's your? Well, you already kind of said that. What your favorite like expression in the Dominican Republic is? What American food would you ban if you were president?
American? This is gonna be. I don't like mayonnaise.
Oh, that's so interesting.
I feel like there's no
a lot
place.
of Latinos don't like mayonnaise.
I feel like there's no place in this country for mayonnaise. And that's one. And if you vote for me, I'll make sure that mayonnaise is taken out of every lunchroom and cafeteria in this country.
All right.
That's my platform. That's what I'm running on.
That's gonna break all the German and Irish hearts.
I'm sorry. This is what I'm running, and there's no place for this. This is
I love it.
This is unacceptable.
Mustard is okay.
I don't do condiment. I don't really like sauces, but mustard is fine. Whatever you want to do, ketchup is fine. I don't like white sauces, but even if you want to do ranch, blue cheese, whatever, you can have that. Okay. No mayonnaise.
All right, because there would be a revolution if you banned ranch.
Yeah, I wouldn't ban ranch. What is ranch?
I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know. I
don't
know.
Fruit or vegetable?
I don't know what ranch is. I also don't know what whelp really is. When people say whelp, I'm like, I don't really know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but I think ranch is blue cheese, like melted.
Is it?
I don't know.
Call in, guys, if you guys.
What was it again?
What's ranch?
I was looking up Dominican side dips and stuff.
What is ranch?
What is ranch?
Ranch is like an herb mayonnaise.
Oh.
See?
Like
but you can't keep ranch then.
So where does it come from? It's mayonnaise?
Like
it's seasoned mayonnaise?
Person's ass.
Is
See?
it?
It's German mostly.
It's the Germans, the Scots. Those are the ones that brought the nasty food over here.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise is just oil and egg.
And but isn't it like rotten egg or something?
Rhine egg?
Rotten, or like expired eggs, or it's just eggs.
Rhine egg from the Rhine River in Germany.
No, I made mayonnaise yesterday.
You did? You made it your
own? Yeah, it's disgusting out of the jar.
How'd you do it?
Wait,
so
vinegar.
He agrees with me.
It's vinegar.
It's
vinegar
blender.
too.
You could put vinegar in there, but I always take like leftover vegetables with an egg, and whip it up with an immersion blender. It's so good.
This sounds a lot better than like what's.
You put a little avocado oil in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like anything. It just
is it Mexican or Dominican avocado oil?
Well, I use adobo, so it could be one or the other. You know.
That's Mexican.
Yeah, it's Mexican for sure.
Yeah.
He's like, get the fuck out of here with that adobo shit.
I like wasakaka.
Okay, well that's like a condiment.
No, I know. I do deal with some. I don't like white condiments.
You don't like American
white condiments?
Yeah. Like white colored. Like ranch, blue cheese.
And also from white people.
Yeah. It's just I don't like the texture of it.
Mayonnaise
the look.
is a very white condiment and a white condiment.
Right. The creamy texture, I just can't do it. Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. We forgive you. If you could deport one American person, who would you deport?
Oh boy, this is controversial.
It is.
Deport, like kick them out of the country?
Yeah, like kick them out of the country. And you could pick where they have to go to if you wanted to.
This is. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't do that. I don't. Oh,
that's nice. That's a good answer.
I don't.
See, this was a trick question. Everybody's answered it, but you're the only.
See, I'm a good
upstanding fucking citizen.
Yeah, I'm like the parent that has like a son who's like a criminal, and you're like. Yeah, but this is my kid. You know, I'm not gonna 100%. Kick him out. That's how I feel about Americans. I'm like, I know this guy's an asshole, but he's with us.
We need that.
Yeah, he's with us.
We need it for contrast.
Right.
I love it. Okay. Most importantly, Ian, I'm sorry. I don't know if you're gonna be able to help me. This is a very important question to me.
Okay.
Do you know how I can meet David Hasselhoff?
Do I know how you can meet David Hasselhoff? Well, let me see. David Hasselhoff. I'm trying to do the degrees of separation.
Yeah, right.
David Hasselhoff was in the roast. He got roasted on Comedy Central.
Yeah, he did
a lot of comedians
roasted.
was on the roast. I believe Nikki Glazer was one of the roasters with David Hasselhoff.
She shouldn't be too hard to.
Right. Yeah. I know Nikki.
Okay, now it's getting serious, people. Okay, he's gonna pull out his phone. He's gonna call Nikki.
Maybe I'm sure Nikki doesn't have Hasselhoff's information, or maybe I could connect you with Comedy Central and they'll won't. But
just like info at comedycentral.com.
Right. David Hasselhoff info at comedycentral.com,
Exactly.
And they could possibly connect you.
That's a good idea though, to go that route.
Yeah.
The roast route. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of comedians on that roast.
That's true.
That
That's
you
a
may
good
know.
point. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think
and they
I'm
probably
closer.
won't know him, but they're a step closer. Like maybe they
but
know his
anybody
assistant.
worth their salt would have gotten his number at the roast. Come on.
Yeah.
If I would have been on a roast
from
with
the
him?
roast? No, he looks a lot younger here.
Oh, you mean is the picture from
Yeah,
the
it
roast?
could because they sat on a throne.
Oh, right. They sit on a throne. Maybe it is from the roast.
I don't think he was wearing jeans though.
I don't. Maybe that's not even his body.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
But maybe it is from the roast. I think that if I would have been on the roast with him, I would have gotten his number.
You love him?
I love him because it's fun to love him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because he's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also kind of amazing. Like he's kind of this guy that like defies the odds, and he makes fun of himself all the time.
Yeah, he's one of those
He has a good
guys.
sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like he likes the fact that the whole world makes fun of him
the
constantly.
Hoff, yeah.
The Hoff, he has merch that's like "Don't hassle the Hoff" and
Yeah.
shit like that. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's so funny.
And this fucking guy created like the most popular TV show of all time. He doesn't need to be out there doing stuff.
That's Baywatch.
Baywatch.
Oh, because he had the Night
Rider. I don't
too.
think he created that.
Oh,
but
okay. He created Baywatch? Like it was creation?
That was his thing. And nobody wanted it. That's why he produced it himself.
How did that come about? Like where did he get that idea?
I don't know. Hanging around
Baywatch
Malibu?
was in Hawaii, right?
No, Malibu.
Oh, it was in Malibu? Oh, I thought it was Hawaii. Okay, yeah.
No, Malibu.
Why doesn't I feel like Netflix should get Baywatch? You know,
Like reboot it, you mean?
no, like buy the series, like put it up. So like these young kids,
I
you know how
agree.
like these
The
young
young
kids,
kids, yeah.
they get on like so many young kids are like fans of Friends now.
Yes,
and, like
it's so funny.
30 years later.
I met this girl, she's 20, and she was like, I'm watching Sex in the City, and it's like sad.
The reboot or the new one?
No, the
old one. The old one?
She thought both of them were sad. She thought the reboot was sad because they're all like 50 and they all have so much plastic
Yeah.
surgery and they look like shit.
And it was so woke.
You watched it?
I watched like the first 3 episodes and I was like, this is too
Wow,
woke.
that's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I liked the old one though. Like
Oh,
the
you
Sex and the
did?
City was a classic TV show in New York.
I never liked that.
You didn't?
show. I never
I liked
watched
it.
it. I don't know. I guess because when it came out, I wasn't their age, so I was like, I don't know.
I wasn't either, or a white woman, but I still enjoyed it.
But I think for you, because you're younger than me too, so
Yeah.
it was like further removed. And for me, it was maybe like I think I didn't watch it. Also, like I was like so like not into corny shit back then.
Oh, you were that
know?
person. Yeah.
I was that
You were like, I
person.
don't watch HBO.
Yeah,
I-
basically.
yeah, okay.
you know?
Yeah. I know
But
that
then
person.
I watched it like a few years ago, being the age that they are,
Yeah.
and it really depressed me. I was like, oh my God.
Did
I don't
it?
want to be that person. I
Yeah.
don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also kind of pissed me off because I was like, that's such bullshit. This is not real New York. Nobody lives like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a glamorized New York. The thing is, I feel like Sarah Jessica Parker lives like that. Like
Right.
that she's a rich person.
But she's
that
not
live-
broke. Yeah,
Right, right.
But she's supposed to be broke.
Right, she's supposed to be, yeah.
There's
she-
like this episode where she's trying to move and then she goes to see this like employment agency person and they're like, oh, you only have $500 in your account. I'm like, what are you talking
yeah, but her apartment
about,
is like
yo?
a $300,000 a month apartment.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
that
But Friends,
always
Friends
pisses
was
me
like
off.
that too. Like,
Never watched Friends. Too corny for me too.
oh man, I love Friends. I like the New York shows.
Now I like it.
Yeah.
I like it now, but back then I didn't like it. I liked Seinfeld.
I
although
like
that's pretty
Seinfeld. Love
corny, too.
Seinfeld. Love Friends. All the new How I Met
Did you
Your
like
Mother.
Girls?
I didn't watch Girls.
I didn't watch Girls either.
Yeah.
I watched like 10 minutes and I was like, also, like those people were more my age at the time it came out. And I was
Is Girls
waiting
just Sex in the
tables.
City in Brooklyn?
But it's not to me. Yeah, it is Sex and the City in Brooklyn in a way. But I was like waiting tables at the time. I was like, I don't know anybody that lives like this either. Like, how's everybody's white? Everybody's like just like finding themselves and shit. Nobody's hustling.
I heard Girls was like the closest one to like real New York in that scene, like the white girl who moves from Minnesota to New York and lives in Williamsburg.
Maybe.
Like they felt very seen in that show.
I guess so. Yeah, I didn't feel seen in that show.
Yeah. Maybe I gotta watch it. I'll watch a couple episodes.
But all right, great. I don't even remember how we got on that tangent, but I'm glad we talked about that.
Yeah,
and
we went from mayonnaise to girls.
Yeah, same
which is
thing.
not that far off, to be honest.
Not
if
at
you really think about it, it's kind of in the same realm.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Ian, what do you want to plug? People can find you at Ian Lara Live, right?
Yeah, that's my Instagram, Ian Lara Live. Yeah, but I just want people to go watch my special, my Comedy Central special. They're streaming it on YouTube for free, so there's no excuse. You can just put my name, Ian Lara, and it'll go up. It'll be there. It's titled "Growing Shame." It's a play on growing pains, and just watch it. It's quick, 30 minutes. Watch it. Leave a positive comment.
Yes. Watch it, leave a positive comment, like it, subscribe it, slide into his DMs and tell him how amazing he is.
All
Go
of
to
the,
see
all
his
of the
shows,
above. Yeah, all of the above. Right.
And if you're Dominican, you can give him a massage if you see him in person.
Please don't.
And an avocado.
No, I'll take that.
All right, cool. Well, that was another amazing episode of Immigrant Jam, the podcast featuring the one and only Ian Lara. We will see you soon.
If you liked what you just heard, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, recommend to all your friends, and if you hated it, recommend it to your enemies. Thank you for listening to Immigrant Jam, the podcast with me, Lucie Pohl. Have a delicious and nutritious day.